everybody, and welcome to MSC Military Spouse Connection Broadcasting Show. My name is Kayla, and I'm your host and producer of this show. I created this show to connect with other military spouses around the globe. So, if you are a spouse of an active duty or reserve service member, I would love for you to join and stay connected with us. Follow us on Facebook. I am in the process of trying to get an Instagram page, so I would love for you guys to follow me on my social media platform. I also want to take a few seconds to do a moment of silence for our service members who were killed in Iran. I want to keep them and their family and friends in our thoughts and prayers. So we're just going to take a minute of silence for a second. I appreciate that, guys. Like I said, the service members that were killed, I'm keeping their family and their friends in my thoughts and prayers. We appreciate all the sacrifices that you've had to endure in the past couple of weeks with the loss of your family member. We love you guys. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for your spouse, your husband, wife, daughter, son. Thank you for protecting our country, and thank you for the sacrifice that you gave to keep our freedom safe. Like I said, I am the host and the producer of this show, and I made this so that military spouses like myself can connect with other military spouses across the globe. I came into this blindly, as all new military spouses usually do. There's a lot of things out there that we don't know that are available for us as a dependent from our military service members. So with that being said, I wanted to start off with saying I want to thank all the military spouses out there. Thank you for everything that you do, keeping the home front safe and still rolling while your service member is either deployed or focused at work. We thank you for everything you do at home to make sure that they get to come home to a safe and well-nourished home. Anyways, so one of my topics I want to talk about today is housing. As a military spouse, there's a lot that we don't know when it comes to things that we are capable of having or things that our service member spouse is entitled to. One of them is base housing. Now, when me and my husband got together, we lived out in town. We didn't get base housing. Just because I had always heard stories that base housing is a lot of drama, and I do not like conflict. I do not like getting involved in other people's business, so we lived out in town to stay away from that because we were a young married couple. I already had 2 kids from my previous marriage, which are my 2 girls, and so I wanted to bring them up in a very calm and stable environment. With that being said, I think it was our 3rd PCSing. We moved from Pennsylvania to Camp Lejeune, and we were stationed in Pennsylvania because my husband was on I-9 duty. And so we got to Camp Lejeune, and I started learning of resources for not only myself, but for my kids. One of them was the EFMP program, which is phenomenal, especially if you have a dependent or kids that may need additional support, whether it be medical or educational reasons, the EFMP is there to help with that. So the reason why I bring that up in the housing subject is because if you have an EFMP, you have primary housing, and housing has to accommodate to that EFMP because, like my daughter, she has Asperger's syndrome. So she gets overstimulated very quickly and has to have her own space. And with that being said, we have to have 4 bedrooms everywhere we live because we have 4 kids. So when we moved from Lejeune to where we are now, we were already in a 4-bedroom home, and we were moving here and requested a 4-bedroom home. We were told because my husband's rank, we didn't rate it, but because we had an EFMP in place for my daughter, who stated in her EFMP, it stated that she had to have her own room. We had to be accommodated to that. So we ended up in a 4-bedroom house. However, it is very small. It is not what we were used to, because we went from a 22 square hundred foot home to a 1,200 square foot home, which is very small. It's like literally half a house. We ended up having to get a couple of storage units to make sure that our belongings were put somewhere that was safe, because we just didn't have the room in our house. So with that being said, as a married couple, military housing is something that it can be accommodating for you, especially if, out in town costs, rent is extremely high depending on where you're stationed at. I know here where we're stationed at Beaufort, South Carolina, which shout out to MCAS, Beaufort, South Carolina, and Paris Island. Whoop, whoop. In the house. Thank you guys for everything. But anyways, the cost of living here is extremely high. So the BAH does not cover rent, utilities, and all that stuff if we were to live out in town. So base housing is a benefit to that, because where we live at, we get a kickback. So we get, they have a certain rent rate that we pay out of my husband's BAH, and then we get whatever's left over back. Now, there is some housing that does that. I know we were told when we renewed our lease last year that the company that we're currently under, which is Hunt, is supposedly going to be taking that away. I don't know how true that is. So don't go off of what I'm saying as far as that's concerned, because I don't know how true that statement is. I heard it from housing, but I've also heard other people that work in housing saying, no, that's not true. So I don't know 100%. But I do know in some housing communities, they don't get kickbacks. They take your full BAH, which is good because you don't have to go try to find a house that accommodates to you out in town and it be extremely high and you not be able to afford it and end up in a worse financial situation than what you are. So make smart financial decisions. Second of all, housing. When we lived at Lejeune, the schools there, Dowaya, which at the time was Dodea, it has now switched. As of I think last week, they switched it to Dowaya. They do have schools on base for military kids. I do know Lejeune has the pilot program, which if you lived out in town and you had orders at Lejeune or New River, your kids could go to the schools on base. They didn't have to go out in town. But we're actually in the process of getting our kids out in town because the school here is not that good. But that's my own self-experience. Somebody else's may be completely different, but we've not had really good experience here. But anyways, the housing situation, like I said, it can be beneficial, especially if you're a new married couple and you're just trying to figure out life. Having somebody that is over making sure the maintenance is taken care of, things like that, it can be beneficial. Now, not everywhere is the same. There are sometimes that maintenance is kind of hit or miss. Here so far in our house, we've actually had good maintenance. When our AC went out 3 different times, maintenance came immediately. When our dishwasher messed up, they came and took care of our plumbing and stuff. So, I mean, even though the housing situation isn't the best, the maintenance guys are pretty cool. They're, they do their job. Um, Another thing with like living on base, you get the commissary and the PX and stuff, which I mean, you don't have to live on base to get that benefit. That automatically comes as a DoD dependent. Um, the commissary usually has really good meat that they have on their selection. My husband loves going and getting meat selection at the commissary, so we don't go there very often. But they're tax free, so that's another benefit. So is the PX. So there are benefits. Like I was saying earlier about the educational part, the kids do have school on base, so you don't have to go out in town. You don't have to worry about having to travel. But the kickback on that is well, when we lived at Lejeune in here, if you live within a mile of the school, you don't have transportation. You have to take them, so that can be an issue. Childcare is another big problem. Is the CDC is really expensive because they base it off of income, so it kind of hinders military spouses from being able to get a job and stuff like that. So that's the downfall of living on base. The child care can be a little bit of a hindrance. But anyways, with the cost of living right now, it's very expensive to live off base. So I would say probably if you're trying to save some money and trying to not wanting to buy a house immediately, to definitely base housing would not be an issue. I mean, it depends. But anyways, so another benefit of that military spouses can get is educational benefits. So I was finishing up my associate's degree, and my husband transferred over his GI Bill educational benefits to me so that I could finish my associate's degree and finish my bachelor's. I'm actually finishing up my spring. Actually, no, we just started our second half of our spring semester, but I'm in my senior year. I graduate in August. So my husband was able to transfer them over to me. You can transfer them. The service member can transfer them over to their spouse or their children, whichever one they want to switch over to. Now, I don't know with service members that are currently coming in or have been in the past few years if they rate the GI Bill. I'm not 100% sure on that. I can check, and if you have questions about it, I can definitely find out for you. But with that being said, I'm able to finish my bachelor's degree, and with me finishing my bachelor's degree, I'm actually going to be joining the Navy next year. I'm actually going to officer route. I got to take my OAR test in the fall. And then once I'm done with that, I'll go to the MEPS and go to OCS. I'm super excited about that. Like, this is something I have been longing to do since I was a teenager. I never got the opportunity to do it, but this time around, my kids are older. We do have some help with some friends who are willing to help us out with my husband because he's a drill instructor on Parris Island. So we have some friends that are going to help out while he's in cycle so that I can go to OCS school next year. But there are so many programs and benefits for military spouses that a lot of military spouses don't know exist. Um, when you marry a service member, the one thing you need to do, or the one person you need to contact immediately, is your FRO, your FRO, which is your family readiness officer. They have so many things that they can give you to help you out, adjust to being a military spouse. They can give you resources for events that are going on, different programs that you can get involved in to help you stay connected. They also help, like if your husband is or wife is being deployed, there's information they can give you to get ready for that. And when they um, end up being where they're supposed to be at, they can let you know, hey, your spouse has made it safe and sound. They are where they are supposed to be at, and they keep you in the loop with day to day or whatever is going on in that deployment. They're able to kind of update you on the situation and let you know like everything. Um, Another thing too, I played kickball for 3 seasons when we lived at Lejeune. I absolutely loved it. I connected with so many women who were military spouses that were stationed there as well. And that if you have a kickball league where you're stationed at, join it. I promise you, you will not regret it. It is like the best, like, it is the best outlet that you could have as a military spouse. They do so much. They play games, and you get to just be a wife and a person and get to find these people that you can connect with on a personal level because they're also military spouses. They know what you're going through, and they might be a veteran spouse and know more things to let you know, hey, did you know that you could get this, let me help you out, let me help you figure that out. I love that. Like, I had the best time playing kickball with the girls at Lejeune. So I miss you, ladies. If you're watching this, um, you changed my life while we were there. I'm I'm an extrovert and introvert. I love meeting people, but I'm also very kind of like standoffish if I don't feel comfortable around you. Like, it takes me a little while to like open up, but other than that, but oops, sorry. Anyways, so another thing I wanted to bring up is, being a military spouse. Like I said, I'm an extrovert and introvert. I love meeting people, and then like I'm very like, I figure you out first, and then like I'll connect with you. So it's very important as a military spouse to find your connection wherever you're stationed at. If it's the neighbor across the street, or if it's, a wife or husband that is 2 or 3 blocks away from you and y'all connect, or you're in a mommy and me class, whatever can get you that connection to find your tribe, please do it. It will save you so much because when we lived at Lejeune, like I said, I don't connect with people very often. I have a lot of past trauma that prevents me from doing that. But at the same time, you know, when we moved here, I was able to connect with a couple of spouses that now are like, I don't know how my life would have been without them, especially with my husband being a drill instructor right now. It saves me from being insane pretty much. Cause like there's times when he's in cycle and I'm like, hey, can you pick up my kids? I'm at work and I can't come and get them. You know, they more than welcome to go get my kids from school. Um, and we're such good friends now that we're going on a girls trip in April. So, and I've never been on a girls trip, so this will be my first, and I'm super excited about it. I can't wait to spend 3 days with two amazing women that I have connected to since we moved here in Beaufort. They are wonderful people. One of them is fixing to retire, and I'm so proud of her. She's done 20 years in the Navy. She is a phenomenal woman, phenomenal mom. She's a great person to be around, a great friend. And then my neighbor that lives across the street from us, her son and my son are like best buds. Me and her connect on so many levels, and she is a phenomenal person all around. Like I'm so thankful that these two women came in my life when they did. Um, so that's why it's very important as a military spouse, wherever you're stationed at, find your connection, because PCSing is very hard. And I think that's one thing, like, also, too, I want to add, like, even though you connect with people on a personal level, when you get ready to PCS, that's probably going to be the hardest move you'll ever make, because you have connected with somebody so freely and so easily that when you move, you're leaving that person behind. That's like leaving like your family. And these women, like, when one of my friends, when she retires in a couple of months, it's going to hurt a lot when she leaves. And I'm not a person to show my emotion very well, so um, I'm probably gonna be fighting some tears back when she leaves. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I have connected with her the past couple months a lot, and I'm just, I think this has helped me out on a personal level, because beforehand, I had been questioning myself for the past like 6 years on joining the Navy. And after talking with her and knowing that she's retiring out of the Navy, I've asked her so many questions, and she's like, "Girl, she's like, you got this. Just like, don't sweat it. You got it." So I think she has helped me encourage myself to be something and step outside of my comfort zone and actually do something I've been wanting to do for a long time. So make sure wherever you're stationed at, you find that spouse that is going to connect with you on a personal level, that's going to help you in so many ways. Um, so, with that being said, um, I know one of the things that military spouses have a hard time with is adjusting uh, to a new duty station, especially kids too. Like my kids, like I said at the beginning, my oldest daughter, she has Asperger's syndrome, and adjusting to change is very hard for her. It's very emotional. Um, when we moved from Pennsylvania to Lejeune, it was really hard because she became really good friends with another girl that is kind of the same as her. And they're still friends to this day. They go visit each other every once in a while when we have time. But kids, having kids and having a spouse that's in the military, it's chaotic. It's crazy. Like, there are so many times I sit there and I question, like, am I making the right decision for my kids? Us constantly PCSing and constantly having to move, and them readjusting to a new school, new community, new friends, new neighbors. But kids are resilient. Like, they can adapt so much easier than I can. It took me a year to adjust to our duty station here. And I just think, like, as long as you have like the resources for your kids, they will surprise you on adapting to PCSing. Um, my kids, they're very smart young individuals, and they can be hard headed sometimes, but they help me out a lot when it comes to things like this. They help me, like, hey mom, um, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna get there and we're gonna have the best time. And they just reassure me that me as a parent, I'm doing the right thing, and they're going to adjust to it just fine. Um, so, but anyways, um, I hope all you ladies and gentlemen out there that if you have any questions or you're just trying to find the calm in the chaos, I am here for you. Other military spouses are here for you. We are a community that is united because we all have to deal with the same thing. We have to PCS. We have to deal with our spouses either being deployed or being at work 24/7. We have to adapt to the change of constantly moving duty stations and communities and friends. So you have a support group that is here for you, that wants to see you succeed, wants to see you thrive. Um, so if you ever have any questions, don't ever hesitate to reach out to me. I will be more than happy to answer questions if need be. I also want to bring up too, I know like being a military spouse is very hard to find employment. A lot of times employers, especially around military bases, are really good with accepting military spouses as employees. Now, I do know that doesn't go for all places because, having gaps on your resume or, whenever you're going to a job and you're applying for it and they ask you, oh, you worked at this place for so long, but then you took a big 2-year gap. What's going on? And you have to say, oh, my husband's in the service. And sometimes that turns an employer down. They're like, oh, that person's not going to be here for long. I don't know if I want to hire them because they're not going to be able to be a long term employee, which that can be a problem for a lot of military spouses. I know some like to stay at home with their kids. I did for a long time and I loved it, but also, too, I started going insane. I need adult interaction. I need to talk to other adults at my mental level. So, I fortunately, we lived at Camp Lejeune. I found an employer who understood that my husband was in the military, and a lot of times that I would have to leave work early to deal with my kids, or I would have to take a couple of days off to deal with my husband's stuff. I worked with him for 2.5 years. It was a small used car dealership near Camp Lejeune, and he was a phenomenal employer. I'm still really good friends with him to this day. We keep in touch with each other all the time. He has written me several recommendation letters because I was such a good employee for him. I will say now I have a really good job. While we've been here, I've had a couple of jobs just because I just didn't feel like it was fitting my description of what I was looking for as employment. But I currently have a really good job, and I work with other spouses that are also military spouses, and they understand the whole aspect of the life. Um, but there are programs out there. I know the base loves hiring military spouses, so you can always go to USA Jobs and find jobs that are there at the MCCAS. I think that's what it's called, or MCCS, which is usually your commissary, your PX, and stuff like that. So there you can find employers that are really good with working with military spouses, and some actually prefer military spouses because they know that you can adapt to change very quickly. You can work through chaos because you have to deal with your spouse that's active duty or reserved or whatever, and it's constant change. So that's always a prop for military spouses. There are other programs out there for military spouses. Like I said at the beginning, EFMP program is really great, especially if you have kids that are special needs or have medical necessities that they need. The military, usually, if you have an EFMP in place, they will not station your service member where you cannot receive those benefits, which is like medical usually. Um, so that's a good thing that they look out for, your kids to make sure that they're getting the proper medical treatment and academic goals that they need. Um, let's see. I'm trying to think of anything else that could help. I know sometimes like bases will post on their webpage like different events that are going on. I know Lejeune July 4th, a couple of years ago, they had Sugar Ray perform at their 4th of July event. Unfortunately, I missed them. Oh my God. I wanted to see them so bad and I couldn't. I know the travel department on base gives, they usually have sometimes they'll have NASCAR race tickets available for service members to get some for them and their family. The USO usually has really good events that they have tickets for. And VetTix, I know we've been to plenty of concerts going through VetTix. Like we have seen Dierks Bentley through VetTix. We have seen, oh gosh, who else? Oh, we went to several baseball games when we lived in Philly through VetTix. Like there's been so many things that we have used event wise through VetTix. So if your service member spouse doesn't know that, they can sign up through VetTix and get different concert shows, events that are going on in your area. They can get tickets through there, and it's really cool. But anyways, so I hope you guys gained a lot from this. I know I'm kind of rambling. This being my first show. Well, it's not my first show. I did a couple of shows, but we did it underneath the name Coast to Coast Connection. I just felt like that wasn't something that was catchy for military spouses, so I changed my name and logo to Military Spouse Connect broadcast show. So I hope that this reaches some military spouse out there who is trying to figure out life as a military spouse. Like I said, I've been a spouse for 10 years, and there's still things that I am learning that is for me and my kids, being married to somebody that's in the service. So I promise you, you're not alone. There are plenty of us out there who are still trying to figure out everything. But if you ever need any advice or any help or need to figure out something, please, again, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm more than willing to answer any questions if I can. If I can't, I will definitely put you in contact to somebody who can. And if you know a military spouse that's going through a hard time, help them out. Let them know that there's somebody there to listen to them, because we all need a brother or sister in this life that is going through the same thing or knows what we're going through, and we can connect to on a personal level. Well, I'm going to cut it short there. I hope you all had a great week, great weekend. I hope your week ahead is filled full of fun and peace and great things. I will be doing a live tomorrow on Facebook at 11 a.m. So make sure that you connect with me there. I'll be taking questions or any stories that you would like to share. I will definitely be answering them tomorrow. If you want to share a story but you want to stay anonymous, you are more than welcome to message us on Facebook at Military Spouse Connections Broadcast Show. If you wanted to give a shout out, please make sure you include that. And on our next episode, we will be more than happy to do so. I love you guys. Have a great week, and God bless.